The final session at Kyoorius Designyatra ended on a very optimistic note, sticking true to the theme of the event with Sam Ball. Sam,
hello.
It was an amazing session. The theme of this event was optimism, and interestingly so, in today's time where brands are facing so much of a challenge with new media coming in, with dealing with social, dealing with data, so much of data thrown at them, how can they be optimistic?
Well, it's the mindset, you see, because you've just said there's new this, new that. New. Why is that a pessimist? Why should you be a pessimist about that? It's like all these new tools we can play with. Oh, we've got data now. We can create, let's look at that data and see where that takes us. There's new media. There's digital. Let's take that. So if your mindset is, oh, we've got all this new stuff to deal with, well then, then you've got no chance. But if your mindset is, look at all these new tools, look at all these new techniques, look at all these new things coming into the industry, how can we use them to create great work, then you'll do great work.
Interestingly so, at your speech, you mentioned how everyone needs to think like a kid. How can brands think like a kid?
Every adult has got a little kid inside them. We were all children once, and brands were all young once. So when a brand was young, how did it behave? It behaved like a challenger, and it took risks, and it got out there, and it did unexpected things, and it offered things to people that they'd never seen or heard before. And experimentation and novelty was important. And then they get big, and they get established, and they forget what made that brand in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's what they need to do. They have to think about when we started, when McDonald's started, when Coke started, it was a small bunch of enthusiastic people, so we're going to try and change the world. So you need small bunches of enthusiastic people within these organisations and say, right, we're going to do it. We did it once, let's do it again.
So what should be the survival strategy?
Change. You have to adapt to the world today, and that means you can't do things in the same old tired way. And it's been well documented the number of companies that haven't changed, and these new upstarts come along, and they're doing a similar thing but offered differently. So obviously Uber's one. Taxi's been around for years, and the London, for instance, black cab drivers, they could have been Uber.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they couldn't have been Uber, but they were used to behaving in certain ways, so they weren't Uber. Some young kids came up and created Uber.
Which is the best brand that you think, thinks in that manner?
Well, I think Netflix is an obvious example. Just simply because they've taken more risks. Their business models are very completely different to what the TV channels were or the networks were, and they took a risk. They started small. They started with just sending DVDs through the post. Maybe people won't go and drive to the shop anymore, and then that turned into online and streaming. And they realised that nobody wants to own these things anymore. When I was a kid, you'd collect videotapes and you'd collect DVDs and you'd collect CDs.
Yeah.
And Netflix, why are we collecting all these things?
Yeah.
We don't own music anymore. We rent it. We don't own films anymore. We rent it.
5 years from now, why will advertising exist?
Advertising helps people decide. I mean, imagine a world without advertising.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same way as, you need to see something needs to put it in front of you. So advertising will always exist because someone will always have something to sell. And, back in the day they might stand on their soapbox, or then they want to TV ads, now the internet. I'm not sure what the next kind of big medium's going to be, but whatever it is, it exists because people need to tell someone about it.
So will it change with the changes that we see around in terms of communication through using these mediums? So what is that we see? How will the future of advertising look like?
I don't think you can worry about what the next medium's going to be or where your ads are going to go, because Nobody predicted Facebook. Nobody predicted Twitter. Nobody predicted Google. Nobody, predicted the internet. So you try and make these predictions, these things will come along. So actually, it's not really important what comes along in the future. What is important is the spirit in which you go into the future.
Yeah.
And you have to go into the future looking for novelty and looking for new experiences and looking to entertain people and touch people and make people laugh and make people cry and make people engaged. And if you go into the future with that spirit, who cares what the next thing is?
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back same time next week. See you soon.